How's it going, everyone? Thank you for joining Shop Talk Live. My name is Rick Ramirez. I'm also known as Rick's 2 Cents, along with my fellow co-host Steve from Steve Makes Everything.
Hey, I get to be second today. How's it going, everyone?
Skylar from Skylar Ewing Woodworks.
Hi, everyone.
Did I say that right this time?
Not
If
Ewing.
not, please
Ewing.
How do you say it? How do you say it? So I say it right.
Skylar Ewing Woodworking.
Ewing Woodworking. I
Ewing.
apologize. I'll make sure I get that right
Okay.
next time. And Roger
Ewing,
from Roger Shop.
Howdy, everybody.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's another word like you, but it's spelled with EW. EWE.
Isn't
like
there
a
someone
sheep,
who plays
female sheep is a
basketball,
you.
or there's someone or
Baseball.
baseball?
Yeah.
Someone,
It was
yeah.
Skylar Ewing. Spelled the same,
okay,
I
yeah.
think.
Like I knew the name. I just was trying to picture where I know that name from. Hey, how's it going there? Thank you for joining. Looks like we have some people joining us from South Carolina. Hello.
Monk's Corner.
Iowa. Nice one.
Yep,
Nice one.
Waterloo.
Bosnian truckers back.
Yeah. So you guys got any upcoming new things maybe or topics you care to share or are able to share?
I was showing Skylar just before this. I got the new flexible ink for the Eufy E1.
Oh, nice.
So I printed this on a piece of Mylar. This is actually a 3D shape, so you can actually bend it, and it doesn't crack. But wait, there's more.
What would be the purpose of that? What's a practical purpose?
Well, actually, so like phone cases. So I actually have this on my phone case, but a phone case flexes a lot, right? When you put it on, take it off and put it on, and it can crack there when you do that. I haven't cracked any, but it just seems to me like that kind of thing, because the regular white ink is like ceramic almost. It's hard, right? So it doesn't take a lot of flexing.
So that's like a UV HV transfer.
No, you actually it's not a transfer. You print direct.
Okay.
And it can also do this kind of thing now. Let me get my face out of here so my camera.
That I'm very excited for. I can think of so many uses for that.
So yeah, so the way that this, oh, you want to do that again? So the way this works is you print in white first, in the flexible white, and then you put the gold foil on top. So I even did a hat badge, which is nice because now you can print on leather, which you couldn't do with the regular ink. So it's all good.
On some boxes on the lid, like put a leather top and have the gold kind of imprinted on it, like a nice design.
That's cool.
So I'm actually thinking of doing this. I'm building a bunch of these player boxes for Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm actually thinking of doing it in gold.
Right.
Yeah, because then it's like a gold leaf, right?
Yeah, you can do it on the inside too. Like, instead of having flocking or something, you can do the leather.
Yeah, I don't do normally on those. I don't normally do. Well, I put felt on the bottom, just cut out felt. But
cool.
Yeah, so I'll do. I have a bunch of those. I'm already late getting them, so I have to get them done. But I think I'll just print them with maybe this gold.
Very cool.
But it looks cool, and I think.
What temperature do you have to put it on to imprint it? Like, can leather sustain that kind of temperature?
I just ran both of these through the laminator. But if you're doing a thick thing, like say you're putting it on a piece of wood, you can get a handheld.
Yeah, I have a handheld press, like a heat press, but I just
it's like 125 Celsius.
Okay.
So if you look at their video, they just tap it. I don't have a hand press. I should get one.
To cure it, that's what the heat press is for?
No, it actually pulls. So you get this big roll of film with gold on it, and you put it on there and you heat it, and it sticks to the white flexible ink.
Oh, okay.
Now
so
this is
like really like gold leafing then.
It does. It's not bad actually.
That's cool.
But this one, like I can see a couple of things. Like there, I know you probably can't see it. There's a little white mark there. It looks like the film, this film actually cracked, like it separated when I was putting it on. But I'm more interested in, this is probably an extreme case where it's a lot of film in one place, but I think I can do this in color too. So
Nice.
just have like the leaves of this thing in gold and then do the rest in color. I think I know how to do it.
That's cool.
So
This is Derek Smiley Woodworks. I went to school with a guy named Derek Smiley. Are you from the Chicagoland area by any chance? Welcome
He's in
from Idaho.
Idaho.
Yeah. Well, I said from the Chicagoland area.
He's
Yeah.
a YouTuber, good friend of mine.
Really?
Hmm.
Yeah, I used to make fun of him because he was like 6'6", at least a Derek Smiley I know, and he drove a Del Sol. And I'm like, bro, you're like the biggest guy I know, and you drive a Del Sol? Why do you drive a Del Sol? How do you even fit in that car? David said, hello from South Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hello, hello. You're a Roger and I's neighbor.
hey,
About
Yeah,
that,
so go ahead.
the gold leafing thing, I'm wondering if you can press it on acrylic or if the acrylic will melt at that temperature.
So the other thing, which I didn't show here, is they have a bunch of, they're like little swabs, like in a foil wrapper, and those are to improve adhesion to things. So there's some for metal, there's some for acrylic, and some for something else. There's a third thing.
So the stuff that they're sending out to you guys, is this actually, is this like beta test stuff for feedback, or is this actually something they're going to be releasing?
No, they're going to release this. This will be, so there's, and this I guess is a public service message for anybody who's thinking about a Eufy. There's 70, well, this morning there was 72 hours left on the Kickstarter project. That project, by the way, is now the most popular Kickstarter project ever.
A lot of people bought that.
17,000 pledges on Kickstarter.
That's
and
crazy.
They made over $44 million. Not bad for a project where their goal was 600,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I got an email today from Onefinity that said, and I'll believe it when I see this feedback from others. Going forward, all orders will be shipped out within 4 weeks.
Wow.
Is that because we complained about it?
And I don't know. I was bashing them every chance I got, not as a company, but as a ship time. I just thought it was nuts.
Yeah.
So,
I think they were just like piecing them together as on demand, right? And you're trying to order parts, but they had a really small, like they were basically in like the warehouse equivalent of a strip mall.
Oh, okay.
And really small, so they probably didn't have room for a lot of inventory anyway.
Boss
maybe they're moving that in.
Boss Trigger said sold 120 coasters. Congratulations!
Good for you.
Congratulations.
I actually had one of our watchers was emailing me back and forth today, asking me, have I had luck selling coasters to bars? I said, no, you need to talk to Roger on that one.
Yeah.
I said, but I haven't sold very many coasters at all to people, but what I have sold is business to business. And I said, I've been trying to get into the real estate market because a ton of my followers are real estate agents. And I thought like, that's a cheap gift to someone who bought a house. But where I've had good luck is movers. Like companies who are movers, they do a big move for them and they just send them in the mail. That's cheap for them, right?
Yeah.
So I said, I don't know.
Most of the movers that I've ever used are just like, they don't care.
Well, 2.5 Men, my cousin's he's kind of higher up in there, but it's he's the one that kind of got me in. But they're a bigger nationwide company.
So you got like the 2 men in a truck guys. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah. So I mean that's a huge company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember no one even knew who they were. Now it's like it's becoming a regular name. So yeah, so sometimes you just got to think outside the box. I think that Roger had the right approach. Like how to bulk sell something like that. But you got to think of like who your customers could be, and I think also too you got to used to getting the door slammed in your face. And you're also gonna be willing to give things away. Like if you went into that bar, if you are gonna do that pitch, you better have some you're leaving.
Oh yeah, I go in with samples. Yeah, I go in with samples. Say here you are. It'll be like a prototype for them, and if you don't like this, we can make changes or whatever.
Yeah.
But, the ones I've approached, especially when they say it where it says stolen from, they're just all over that. I mean, they're so this would be great. It's good advertising, and coasters are cheap, so yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to steal Roger's idea, this is stolen from them. Might be a good idea to steal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you do like you do have to bring samples with you, but make samples that are theirs. So like if it's a bar,
Yes,
make some
exactly.
coasters for their bar and say, here you go.
Yeah, no,
And
exactly.
I mean, worst thing that happens is the owner of the bar gets some nice coasters for home, right? But
so I went into this Mexican restaurant one time because inside the restaurant they have this little store that sells like Hispanic type stuff, right? And for the Day of the Dead, I walked in there. I said, "Can I sell these shirts?" And he was like ready to throw me out of the store, right? And I'm a pretty good customer there. And while I'm trying to convince him to sell these, he's kind of ready to tell me no. Someone says, "Hey, how much is the shirt?" I said, $25. What size do you have? I said, what size do you need? Extra large? It says here, and I gave it to them. So then I said, so then I sell it to him right in front of him. And then I'm talking to him about the shirts. Another person stands up and says, well, is that the only shirt you have? I said, no, I got a whole bunch in my truck. Do you have a 2X? I said, yes. I said, how much is that? I said, $35. Pays me. So I asked him, do you want it? He says, the next sale is mine. How many shirts do you have? And he bought them all.
oh, there you go.
So, just not every, you got to have thick skin. I always say, like, Jehovah's Witnesses, they should be definitely salesmen, right?
Of course, if you
I got so many no's that I can't even count. It's like more no's than yes.
Yeah, but you're going to get, I mean, you're going to get maybe 2% conversion, right? So that's 98 no's before you get a couple of yeses, right?
The one thing that I always say is that all those no's, my biggest person who brings me business, every customer brings me customers. And I love that about it, because you would think most people, they want to share where they got it from. I'm not going to share with my guy, right? Or the person they get it from, they want to keep their source secretive. But man, most people who buy stuff from me, they're the ones who are bringing me customers. So so even if it's at 2%, like Steve says, that one customer that you got slammed on your face, door slammed on your face 25 times, that one customer could bring you 25 customers.
Yeah, so, and I mean, you still may only get 2% of their recommendations, but it's recommendations you didn't have to work for, right?
Right.
Plus, every time
basically, you're turning all your customers into salespeople.
Plus, every time you get a no, you're still getting better at talking to people and promoting yourself and being more confident. And
the nerves go away. You get your spiel down a little better each time.
I remember the first time I talked to someone, I was so nervous I couldn't even look them in the eye. I was like just mumbling, trying to remember what I was going to say. And
I do that anyway. Radu has a question here about the Flex Ink. No, not T-shirts. So it will do canvas bags. I think the reason it's not T-shirts is because they get washed a lot.
I think you can do it on hats, though.
Yeah, hats. Anything that's not like it can be cloth, but it's not something that you can wash like
makeup bags.
Yeah, canvas bags.
Yeah, beach bags, those kind of things.
There you go.
Pencil holders.
Miguel
Manuel said hello. Like, do kids still use pencils in school anymore?
They do.
I use them all over my shop because
I use the eraser to hold my piece down, because it's like grippy.
Yeah.
When I take it through the table saw.
Manuel said hello from surprisingly warm state of Maine.
It's getting cooler in the next few days.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool by the weekend.
Yeah, Saturday.
Our weather is not radically different than yours. Hey, Tim, how did the oh, hello from hell. Yeah, it was hot here today. Tim, did you get your apparel printer up and running?
Yeah, I built a retaining wall and did some work at my father-in-law's house. And man, I tell you, I went into a restaurant to order some food, and I finally smelt myself. And I stood back. I was like, I smell like a homeless person. Like, it was like I was sweating from places I didn't think was possible. It was so hot. But
the clue is the clue is when they hand you the bag of food on a claw, right? And it's like stretched out.
At least I looked like I was working, that's all.
And what is it you're building? I saw the picture there, and it looked like you just put a wall up for no reason at all. Is that a retaining wall?
Yeah, we built it. So it was like a big giant burr, basically, because on the other side of that is a golf course. So took out like 3.5 feet of dirt and then built a retaining wall and then built like a 10 by 12 platform so you can build a shed. But I didn't put the side retaining walls in just in case I have to shift the shed around. I want as much room as I need to move it around. So, but yeah. Frank's Little Workshop. I don't recognize this name. New name. Hi again from UK. Just a few minutes before I can. I'm sorry. Let me read this all over. Hi again from UK. Just in a few minutes while I can still keep my eyes open. It's very late. Thank you for joining. I'm sorry. You said again, so I apologize for not remembering your name. Thank you. Thank you for jumping in.
I want to say Frank's Little Workshop of Horrors.
Frank, you gotta join our Facebook group if you haven't already. Then if we're off in times, at least you can kind of share some things. So
yeah, we seem to be stuck at 505. So.
Yeah. So let me just throw that up there. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, I'd greatly appreciate it if you join. If you go to shoptalklive.club, it's just a forward that goes to Facebook, so that we don't have this big long URL. So it's not a website; it's just our Facebook group for Shop Talk Live. Let's see. I lost my place.
You're right there.
Hello,
yeah.
Hello from Hoffman Estates, Illinois. So you're in Roger and I's backyard. Hello.
You seem to be cornering the Midwest.
Craig said, "Hey, all. That was me talking about Rick about the coasters." Oh, Craig, there you go. That's what I was talking to in the email. Yeah. So Roger, if you have any pointers you wish to share, other than saying have thick skin. Or I guess anyone all of you would have experience on a business to business. Like, how do you pitch that to a business?
Well, I relate it like this. I ask, and I'm not afraid to ask. And this goes back to when I was a teenager. My friends were, I'd ask girls out all the time, and I get turned down a lot. How can you do that? I just ask.
So that's why you switched.
No, not switch.
Because of his Hawaiian shirts.
No, I've never been shy about asking or pitching anything.
Yeah. It's
so do you make an appointment to go in there? Do you just walk in there? Are you
a
customer first?
I'm generally, I'll be a customer. I'll sit at the bar and kind of get friendly with whoever's selling bar and kind of hint around a little bit that, hey, I got something you might be interested in. And so I'll bring you something in tomorrow. And, then I'll show it to the bartender and I say, where's the manager or the owner? And generally that person is there and I'll pitch it. And I'll say, here's some of these. And if you like it,
it's like anything else. Go ahead. Sorry, Roger.
I'll say, if you like it, I can make it like this. If you want to make some changes, if you want it out of cork, if you want it out of plastic, you want it out of slate, if you want to go real cheap, we can do the little rubber ones, the neoprene. But most of them will go for either the cork or the slate.
I like your idea, Roger, approach that you're a customer first. Versus you just walk in there like a cold sale kind of deal, like buy this. You're actually spending your money with them and then just trying to take some back with you on the way out, right? But I like that approach.
But when when you're selling anything, but to B2B especially, you have to hit on one of their problems, right? Find a pain point. And for bars, it's like advertising, because bars generally don't advertise. So the stolen from coasters are the best, right? Because, hey, this is like, hey, you'll get a bunch of free advertising out of this. Real estate agents, same thing, right? It's just like, hey, don't you want your people to, be able to tell someone else who sold their house to them? Just find a pain point. And it's for B2B, it's almost always advertising or some kind of communication problem.
And if the bar has some kind of logo and you can find something that has that logo on it, and then you can copy that and put it on the coaster, that's I got one. I don't have one on the desk here. Sometimes I keep my screwed up coasters on the desk here. But, I like, for example, it says, this stolen from Luli's Bar Grill. And then it'll have the address underneath it, but where it says Luli's. So this is a legitimate name of a bar here. It's their logo in script and font. And the way I got that was off of their Facebook page where they advertised some things. I just grabbed that and took it out and run it through Inkscape and
You know what I'm
Pretty
finding
much.
more and
Pretty
more
much
too is
easy.
that I think I mentioned this before is the hashtags, and I mean not the hashtags, the what are they called? It's like a scan bar and it brings something up. What is it called? A QR code.
QR
Yeah.
codes.
When I first went to a restaurant, I saw that. I thought they were just trying to be techie, and then I saw it again. I thought maybe they're trying to be cheap, and then I saw it again. I was like, this is becoming a thing. So like a lot of bars, they don't have menus anymore. They're like, oh no, scan that on the napkin holder. You know, they have like a QR code, or they have something real limited. It's a napkin holder.
They'll still have menus, but when the waiter or waitress gives it to you, they'll look at you with disdain, right? And they'll say, hey, you can just scan this QR code.
We go to a restaurant here, and the same thing. They have a QR code, but they don't have menus. You just order all online, and then just the food just shows up, and you pay everything up front, and then food just shows up at your table.
Yeah.
They have the table number, with the QR code.
So so you're basically renting a table as opposed to
Yeah, so that's something to think about. Just like they kind of put you above and beyond just somebody adding a logo. If you can add the QR code, and by the way, you can create QR codes for free online if you Google that, and make it basically.
You don't even have to go online. You can do it right in Lightburn or XCS.
Okay, yeah, but you can get kind of pretty creative. With you can add things in the background and things like that. That necessarily wouldn't be part of it, but just add some feel and looks to it. So just something like that. I think that's kind of just sets you apart from just somebody just adding their because you're also there's a Vistaprint and things like that. You start becoming competitors with them, and you don't want to be in the same ballpark as them because you can't compete with them, right? So you want to put
they're not the cheapest.
Right? Here's an example of one of the cheaper ones you can do. This is cork. And the image on there is AI generated.
Is that cork?
Yeah, this cork here. And
Nice.
this is a little bit off center. That's why I've got it on the desk here. Otherwise, you can put on the back too, stolen from, or this belongs to, or you can come up with any kind of catchy phrase, or if a particular bar or restaurant has a slogan they want to use and it won't fit on the front, people are always going to look at the back too.
Cork is great too because it takes such a little power to engrave. It goes really fast.
Yeah. They do go fast.
Yeah, if you've got like even a 5-watt diode laser, you can make cork coasters.
Oh yeah, you crank them right out.
I mean, let's say cutting and engraving order for 100 keychains for realtor while watching tonight. So there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, so when you think real estate agents, think cutting boards, engraved, or keychains. Or real estate lawyers, because everybody uses a lawyer when they close a house, right? And those people, they all give away they still give away the 99-cent pen, which is just garbage.
Because
right?
The thing is, like, I think what used to be big was like those refrigerator magnets. And everyone used to stick these refrigerator magnets and said some company name, and you'd use them to hang your kid's picture or a calendar on the fridge, something, right?
Yeah, the fridge magnet that's a calendar is a popular one.
Right. So now that the coasters and these things are becoming like, I would say, like the refrigerator magnet, something that was, in your house, it's of another company
and this kind of gets to my often ranted gripe about coasters is they're oversold, right? Like there's just so many of them. But when you're doing B2B, it's different.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's an endless supply for one thing, because as Roger's tweaked on, there's people are stealing them, right? And so it's an endless mission to keep making them for somebody once you get them hooked. And the reason people are stealing them is because they got some funny slogan on the back, right? And
you're almost encouraging them by writing that, right?
Oh, of course you are.
Stolen from.
That's that's kind of the whole idea behind it. And that is not my original idea. I saw that somewhere when we were traveling down in the Caribbean.
When I bought my house, my realtor brought me as a gift a Le Creuset pot with apple crisp she made. And she was apologizing. Nice. She's like, I'm so sorry. I just didn't know what to get you. So then when I started woodworking, I emailed her and say, hey, I have all this stuff I'm making. If you ever need something personalized for your customers,
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. You found a pain point, right?
Did you end up getting a sale out of that? Did she ever come back?
I did. Yes. She's getting all
Nice.
kinds of stuff, random. It's not like just cutting boards or something like, for one house, she might get a jewelry box. For somebody, might get the cutting board or something. It's just
They
random.
put her logo on it.
Yes, whatever
contact
she wants. Like sometimes she asks for, the client's name, and that's it. Sometimes it's her logo or her phone number or whatever.
Yeah, the name thing is popular on cutting boards, right? Because you
Scott,
come into the house and you see your name on a cutting board on the island. And
Scott, I think the biggest problem with the things that you sell is it's hard to choose, because it's not like the reason I say that is like you make very unique items. So it's like I told you, when I bought the cross, I couldn't decide on one, so I just bought two. And then after I bought two, I thought I should have bought three. I think that becomes something that, because when you see one thing and it's like one's red, one's blue, yours, each item is like uniquely made. They're not.
Yeah, I pretty much don't make anything two of them, because I get bored. So it's like I need to try something new. Like just making the same crosses, I'm like, I can use the same wood, but I was like, I use green epoxy on this one. Oh, I wonder what this blue one will look with that. Oh, but this is a different kind of green. What if I mix green with gold? What if I mix green with blue? So I just always wanted to try new things. Yeah, and I have my favorites, but sometimes it's a bust. You try new things, and it's like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, just garden stakes.
But that's a way to learn something.
For a new idea. Right? Garden stakes, they sell really good. I'm joking. Don't make it.
I've made good money on garden stakes.
Oh, I don't know. Has anyone sold garden stakes? I want to know, because I've sold none, and that's not me not trying. Trust me, I tried.
But I didn't sell. I wasn't trying to sell to the common person. I was selling to businesses like garden centers.
Man, I sold to none. I want to know, is anyone that live has actually sold garden sticks? Let me know. It seems like you see a lot of influencers. They like pitch stuff, and they're like, make $1,500 a month by making these smokers, or make this and make that. It's like, do those things really sell?
I have a little bit of beef with that, because I watch YouTube, right? So I see lots of creators, and they're like, 5 project that sells like hot cake, and you got to make so much money. And then you go look at their Etsy or website or whatever. But on Etsy, you can see they don't really have any sales. And I'm thinking, like, are you really selling that, or is it just for the video?
There's people who literally are in the CNC world, in the laser world, and they're making more money on courses telling you how to sell than they're actually selling. Their hustle is selling you that you can make the money. And although they're capable of doing it, they're actually they're not practicing what they're preaching.
Right.
I know how they're making money, convincing
every industry. There's those people, right? And
hype guy, pump and dump.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully Andy's not listening to us, because he does this, right? He sells a lot of courses, and they're good, but do you need it? I don't know. Right? I'm certainly never going to make a course.
Yeah. So to me, like I don't know, if you had a unique way of doing something, creating something, and you're like, hey, I took 6 years to learn how to make something, like Skylar, you, for instance, your boxes, and you're like, this is how I do my epoxy, and this is how I cure it. You don't want to create a bunch of competition, but if someone took a course and you end up making double what you make the box, maybe then you'd share. To me, that makes sense, but
well, but those people who sell those, or have these videos of, here's 5 things that sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, I've never seen one that was actually
but think about it. They're not going to give away their best ideas. Right?
Yeah, so being new to the CNC, I've literally went on YouTube and I typed in top CNC sellers, and every video I've watched, I'm like, I will never make that.
Yeah.
But there's lots of one.
CNC, there seems to be a lot of people in the CNC business who do this.
Yeah, not one video.
Like, I mean, I certainly even CNC. I probably make more money on CNC than I do anything with lasers. But I'm not gonna do videos on those projects, because that's where my revenue comes from, right? So anything I do a project on, it's a project that I have legitimately built and probably sold, but it's not something I'm going to sell on my own constantly. So, hey, here's a design, get started, right? I'm not going to tell you it's going to make $8 million a month or anything, because you can't really guarantee that, right?
No, I've definitely been searching like this last week, just kind of searching, trying to think of like ideas that, that I want to make just to practice, not even necessarily. My whole idea is that I'm going to start making stuff and giving them away because I'm sure they're not going to be perfect. Right. But just to practice.
Are you doing them on your CNC?
Yes.
Well, they should be perfect.
I'm saying, how you change things every time you make something for the first time. You're like, I don't like this about. So before you'd actually sell that, you may have 3 revisions of it. You're like, all right, this is the finished product that I like, right?
Yeah,
and that's normal.
Yeah, so well, I think if you get to that contentment point, you probably should stop making whatever you're making.
Well, at least a product that you're satisfied with. I want to start selling this. You should always improve upon your skill sets. I agree.
Yeah, like these player boxes I make for gaming. I've built like 6 or 7 generations of those things, and I keep looking at them, going, "Oh, if I did this, I could, get some benefit out of it."
But I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
So if you get a custom order of something, whatever you might be making, do you keep your customer on the loop and ask them to be part of the design element, or do you just make it and show it in the end? Because I've done it one way in the beginning, and now I completely changed my way. I don't do it that way anymore.
So for me, it depends on what they're paying for it. Most of them don't want to be involved, right? But you want to show them the design, because you're going to say, here's the design I have. If you don't like this, now is the time to talk about it, but not just day to day, not like sit down with me and we'll design a chessboard, right? Like that's not going to happen. But you do want to keep them involved. For one thing, it makes them feel like they have some stake in the effort, and it makes them, to some degree, they understand what you do and why things are so damn expensive, right?
So, Skylar, I would say to me answer that question is yes and no. And I would say that it depends on the cost. Like I make some memorial stuff that can get pretty high up there in the numbers, and I don't have a fast turnaround time. Some of that's like a month or longer, because there's things that take time to cure and dry, and there's stages. So I tell them, hey, if you'll follow me on TikTok, I make shorts, and you'll see that, because they have to pay me 100% up front. And I'm criticizing CNC companies for paying someone 100% up front and waiting for a finished product. So I kind of feel that as a customer, that you're paying me X amount of dollars, and at least you see I just didn't take your money, and the reason you're waiting is because other people are in front of you. I'm working on it, but I don't want to give you a product that the wood hasn't been dried to where I think it should be, or I'm not cutting corners because you want it done by this date. I'm telling you, I need this allotment of time, and then you can see as the progress is being made. But what's crazy is that I keep saying customers will bring you customers. As I share those, they're sharing them. And every single one of the time that, they're sharing it, someone else has also kind of watched that journey in the process. And it almost seems like I may get 1 or 2 shares of the finished product, but I'll get 2,000 shares of the progress. That's just been my experience.
I used to sit down with the customer and like talk about the whole design, make a plan, and then I'll execute the thing. But then I found that during the process when I was building the thing, maybe something went wrong. I had a little chip out at the router table, and now I added this little chamfer there that was not in design, but that's the way to fix that problem. Right. So then it's like, well, it's not like we planned. So then do you scrap the project and start again? Or sometimes when you involve the customer, especially with the epoxy charcuterie board, I used to do custom ones where the customer will pick the wood or pick the color of the epoxy, and they choose pretty much everything, and I'll just execute it. But then when they pick the stuff, I'm like, ew, that's ugly. That's not going to go. Like, I know, because I've tried those, and I know they don't go together, but then they feel like they don't have the power to choose. So now I just don't show them that all. I'll listen to them. I'll make notes. I'll do the whole thing. And then I'm like, this is it. You either want it or you don't. You don't have to buy it if you don't love it.
If you're getting down to the level of where there's a chamfer on something, that's probably too low level for customers. But things like colors, right? I mean, you can't say, oh, your color choice sucks, but you can say, I've done this before and it doesn't turn out well. If you want me to change it, I can, right? You got to give them the power to make the choice. But in the end, you're gonna say, hey, you're paying for this, so you can have purple with pink polka dots if that's what you want, right?
Yeah, now I just ask for general, like, do you want green tones or blue tones? But I don't let them pick
it's
the
whatever
exact...
works. I mean, it's different. Like if you're sitting down and making, sitting down with a customer for, I don't know what you charge for your crosses, but let's say it's a couple $100 or $100, whatever. That's probably not the price point where you're going to want to spend a whole lot of time. And they're probably honestly not going to want to have a whole lot of time to talk about it. It's just sell me the cross, right? But if it's a $2,000 or $3,000 thing, those people want to be involved.
Right.
Yeah, Skylar, it's funny. It's because I make those plantain boxes, and normally when I make memorial stuff, I'm very involved, because I'm respectful of what I'm doing. And the plantain, I'm like, yo, man, I'm making something that's a rectangle. Like, just tell me how long it's got to be and how wide it's got to be. That's it. Well, nah, you're not paying me enough. We're not doing this. I had a person literally, she was FaceTiming me, wanted to see it. I'm like, dude, like this is like $150. Like, it's a box. Like,
I had a customer last Christmas. I was like slammed last holiday with the orders, which I was not prepared for it. The last 2 weeks before Christmas, I had to put my shop on vacation mode. So I was not selling anything. I was like, I can't deal with it anymore. I stopped it. I took it offline. But I had this lady, she bought a cross, just like it was like a rosewood cross. And I don't offer like gift wrapping or engravings. I usually sell my stuff as it is. But she asked me, she's like, is it possible to engrave this person's name on the back? I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I didn't charge her for it. I said, I'll do it. But it has to be this font. No problem. I'll do it. But can you gift wrap it because it's a gift for somebody? And I didn't have anything that would look nice as I gift wrap it. So I had to go to the drugstore, buy a gift bag, a box, and wrap it and all that. And then, I shipped it. I got it done so she can get it. I got it in one day. The next day I was able to ship it. And then she wrote on my review saying that, the cross was very nice, very happy with it. But the seller did not show me a picture before she shipped it. I would have loved to see it before it was done. Like, the cross was done. It was just the engraving and the wrapping and all that stuff.
So I don't generally get a customer too involved unless it has to do with a photograph. Like I do quite a few custom laser engraved photographs on mirror, and I'll have to get with them pretty close. And I don't really want to say this to people, but if the picture you give me has ugly people in it, after I engrave that mirror, they're still going to be ugly. And we've gone around a few times with that kind of thing.
Roger, I say that with memorial pictures. I sometimes, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm like, is this really the best picture you have? And sometimes they're like, hey, that's the only picture I have. And
I've had to ask that question too. And, and I always say, I said, no disrespect, but, we need something a little bit better. I mean, here's a picture of, a 5-year-old, but she's standing in front of a tree and looks like the tree's growing out of her ear. So I could Photoshop that out, but then the background doesn't look right. And
I have a friend.
Too much time on it.
Yeah, Roger, I have a friend. Her name's V. She's an amazing graphic design artist, whatever you want to call them. And I had a customer give me a picture of her father passed away, and to the right of her was her mother, and it was just a horrible picture. And I'm like, this is seriously the best picture you have? She's like, yeah. I sent that picture to V. She took them out of the kitchen table and put them on a beach. She changed their clothes. She like they weren't even standing up. They were sitting down at a table. And I was like, here you go. And like, talk about make somebody cry. Like, you know what I mean? But like those people who can do that kind of thing in Photoshop, like I'm pretty good in Photoshop, but like that's an artistic ability because like you just like created something that didn't exist.
Yeah, I'm not that good.
And it looks real. And it looks real. Like that's insane. But for a while I started making those memorial cards, and that was a weird thing that I fell into. But yeah, I used to do a lot of business cards, print a lot of business cards. And someone asked me, "Can you make memorial cards?" And I'm like, well, I don't understand why. It's pretty much the same thing. And that's how I fell into that. But
I want to start making those. What do you call those? That you put the ashes in urns for pets.
Yeah.
So Eon lasers, not Eon lasers. What is it? It'll come to me. But there's a laser manufacturer that I was trying to get affiliated with, and their niche in their lasers is like the memorials, and I think that's why they reached out to me initially. They do a lot of like urns, they do coffins, they do headstones. I can't think of the name, but yeah, there's big money in that, man.
Yeah,
There's
I had a
big
customer reached out to me about a year ago, and he asked me if I would make him. He called it a box. He's like, I'm still pretty young, but I'm thinking about my debt, and for me and my wife, would you be able to make our boxes? And then I was like, oh, sure, I'm flattered, I'll do it. And then he sent me for his box what he wanted, and it was like insane. I'm talking like 4 pages of each side. One has to have his boat that he raised with, and it's like inlay, but it sticks out half of it, and this gold inlay thing, and the plaque. And the other side has to have his grandchildren's faces with something else. I was like, yeah, man, I got to take me 10 years to do that. Can you imagine how much back and forward that will go? It's like, you will be way dead by the time I'm done with that.
That's why you're starting early.
You should probably talk to your grandchildren and see what they want to have on their mantle, because it doesn't matter by the time I finish it.
They probably don't care if they have his boat on their mantle.
Yeah,
let's get back to the thread here. Radu is asking how much ink is lost when you're switching between the Eufy cartridges. I don't know, short answer, but I don't think changing the ink cleaning uses a whole lot of ink anyway.
But it does use a sanitation tank, right? It's actually like just a dump waste tank.
Yeah. It does the flush, but only on that white. Like it's only on the one channel.
Tim says, Tim, show the boxes. I can't post.
Yeah, so let me bring up. Tim sent me the pictures of the boxes. Let me show it here.
What are these boxes you're speaking of?
This is the box that his apparel printer came in.
Oh wow!
There's a couple of them here. So it was actually open. Like this got wet or something. Maybe he was on the same UPS truck as mine, and it got all the oil, the vegetable oil or whatever it was. So yeah, it was a little shocking.
How was the printer? Is it working?
Oh, he says it is.
Ah, you got lucky then.
Yeah. Well, I think in this case, Xtool got lucky, but
wow. You have to pay the
AP lasers is the laser that I was talking about, Skylar. I don't mean to blurt it out, but I just came to my mind. It's AP laser. AP laser.
AP, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't pay tariffs on this kind of stuff. We have a different leader in our country, so we don't pay tariffs. But
don't go there, Steve. Don't go there.
I'm not going to.
We have to live here, okay? It's like this. Oh,
we don't have to live there. We can live somewhere else. But, yeah, so we don't pay tariffs right now. Actually, a lot of stuff that we can get is probably about the same price in Canadian dollars as what you're paying in US dollars. In fact, probably cheaper in some cases.
I wonder what's going to happen with all the influencers and their laser reviews and stuff in US, if they're going to get any, or who's going to pay the tariffs.
Well, so I was talking to Xtool about the metal fab, and because they're being really tight with those because of the economic situation. And I said, you're better to give those to influencers in Canada because they're 55% cheaper to ship here. And the material is also 50% cheaper because they use steel and aluminum, right? And there's no tariffs on it here. We make the stuff, it comes out of our ears, right?
I told you I had just a laser lens, the tiny little thing that is $15 or something like that from We Create for my laser, sent to me for free, so I didn't have to pay for it. But then I had to pay $20 tariffs for it.
Roger, looks like you're up.
Oh, okay. Regarding my We Stole coasters, do you have the We Stole in her name on one side or just her name on the other? It kind of depends on the place. If if it'll all fit on the front, I'll put it on the front, and then if you know, let's say they want the bar's address, I'll put that on the back. You know, the bar's name and the address on the back.
Craig said last week I survived 2 days, 105 degrees hidden index at a craft fair.
at a craft fair.
Oh,
Even clear a few bucks, man.
I'd want to
That's
clear a
definitely
lot
gotta
more than a
affect
few
the
bucks
foot
if I had to
traffic.
stand in the heat.
That's definitely got to affect the foot traffic, the weather. So
Hey,
something to keep in
Madger's
mind.
back.
Madger said,
Happy-
hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Only here for a few. Just pop in for a minute. Thank you for joining. Happy hump day. Happy hump day. It's Wednesday. We're halfway to Friday. Oh, Roger.
no, here we go.
Jay Don't Plays in the building. She said,
Jay's
hello,
back.
Roger.
She missed you, Roger. Hey, Andrew.
If Rick paints his Onefinity boxes green, he can use them as a green screen. I'm on vacation this week. By Sunday, I'll have a video posted. I promise.
So,
keep my
so
feet in the fire for that.
I thought the Onefinity came in a lot of boxes, but these darn saw stops, man, this thing came in like 30 little boxes of like every piece was in a separate box.
So it's funny you said that about the background. So before we went live, I blurred the background, and Steve's like, "Why the hell did you blur your background?" I'm like, "Because it looks crappy behind you. It's all kinds of boxes." He's like,
industrial.
Nah, he's like, "No, man, it looks weird. Take it off." So
like some kind of Hollywood romance.
So I took it off. So yes, the boxes are still behind me. I
like this. This is I'm accustomed to be looked at with disdain, but it's usually by my wife instead of my waiter.
Yeah.
Jadon Play said my new stickers have my QR on them. You know, actually, I owe Jay a magnet fishing magnet that we're going to be putting her logo on it. So I'm going to do some experimenting. I'm going to try that spray that we got from Monport. And I'm going to try some, because at the end of the day, here's the thing. No matter what you do to that engraving, they're going to throw it in the river and beat it against rocks. So it's going to get scratched, right? So I almost want to try a couple different methods and say, what most endurance, right? Is it the depth? And then it's just going to get blackened from the soot. You know, is it paint? Is it powder coating? I'm going to do a couple different methods on it for her. And I want to see what actually lasts. And no, I'm not lacing grade.
She's going to be your beta test subject.
She's going to be my beta test subject. And no, it's not on the actual magnet itself, because I know that could be crazy, right? Those magnets come in like a steel cover, kind of. So that's what I'm actually engraving. So it's pretty cool. So in the magnet fishing world, she is like the queen, man. It seems like every time she throws a magnet and she comes back with a safe. I don't even know what to say. Guns, safes. You guys think that's cool? Check her out, because
she probably has a long history of robbing banks, and she's trying to recover the money.
We're in the Chicagoland area, and unfortunately, she's very good at finding guns in the rivers. You know,
well, I keep saying that happens here too. You know, find guns in the river.
Yeah,
and people just going fishing will come up with an old shotgun or something, or a pistol that's been down there for who knows how long.
Yeah, I keep saying I want to go to the areas that are known for like the old Capones, the gangster areas, not the 90s gangbangers. I want to go to like the old gangsters, like where they would hung out in St. Charles and Batavia, Warrenville, you know, certain areas that the Al Capone was known to hang out in, lay low.
I'm sure those guys threw lots of things into Lake Michigan.
Pull up a Tommy gun or something, that would be insane. Frank said before,
a steel tub full of concrete with some skeleton feet in it too.
You never know, right? You never know. Little Frank said, before I go, I have a quick question. What is the best way to approach a company to get product reviews for YouTube, specifically a 3D printer?
Ask them.
Yeah. Don't bother trying to ask Bamboo, because they don't give printers away right now. But
yeah, there's not a lot of you know, you don't have to massage vendors usually. They either want coverage or they don't.
And I would say this too, if you're nervous, and kind of Skylar brought it up, is that when you're doing these pitches, you tend to get better as you do more and more. So if you're rough, or you're like, you don't know what to say, just write a real rough email. ChatGPT is pretty good. Put it in there and say, refine this email.
Yeah.
And even if you don't like it, you can hit refresh and refresh and refresh, or then take that, add it again, and put it back in there. So that, because at the end of the day, you don't want to sound like somebody else. You want to sound like yourself, but it's okay to have ChatGPT polish you.
Yeah. Yeah. I would actually have a caution for this is not how do you ask? It's usually how you say no, because sooner or later, once you do a couple of reviews, then every company on the planet is going to start pinging you and saying, can you review a product? And a lot of them will be just weird things.
Yeah.
And
so
you'll want to do it, but it'll kill your channel if you do too many of the wrong thing.
And sometimes you just have to plain ask. You don't even have to say any fluff one day, or just simply ask. And if they want it, they will do it. When I had my collaboration with Crafted Elements, they make the silicone molds. I just sent Sean an email and I said, hey, you want to send me a small cross mold just for a giveaway on my channel? And he replied right away. I was like, oh, Skylar, I'll do you even one better. And he gave me an allowance of, whatever amount of money. I was like, just pick anything on my store that you want. And he didn't ask me to make review on it or anything. It was just like, they wanted to put their names there.
Jaden Play said, I just ordered a silicone bracelet, snap bracelets, bottle openers, keychains, coffee cups, You do know we make that kind of stuff, right? And you didn't come to us.
You could get it handmade by Roger.
You're a bottle opener, keychains. Everybody's got to have one of those.
Oh man!
Don't leave home without it.
Tell Roger I need his address to send him one. It might be hand delivered. Get him in trouble. Jim said, Steve, how thick of an object can you put into the UV printer?
I think the limit is, they've actually just increased it with the latest software update, but it's over 100 millimeters. Like, it can be pretty tall.
Inches.
In inches? I don't know. Google can tell you. 100 millimeters is like, I don't know, 4 inches.
Sounds more impressive saying 100.
Yeah, it's bigger.
He's like, I'm 100 millimeters.
Yeah, 100 millimeters is 4 1/4.
Good guess.
Cheater right here.
Marge said I had to beg to give them away.
Yeah, that happens.
Here you go. Craig said, I made 160 guard sticks last year that I sold 8 and gave away the rest this year as a garden center. A host that hosted the weekend craft fair. No garden sticks in my review mirror. I'm with you with that one, man. I think there's certain things that definitely that you would make for yourself, and there's certain things you would sell. So I would definitely think I would use them, but I don't think I would ever sell them again.
It's very regional, very localized on what you sell, right? Like when the last time I made garden stakes for a garden center, I made, I don't know, probably 400 of them. And I started with 100, and they said, no, like 2 days later, no, we need more. So
better luck than me. I just said I paid for Kyler's Learning CNC Master course. I learned more from Mark. Yeah, so I think that when you're buying these courses, you just gotta and it's almost hard to go by reviews, right? Because they could be biased reviews. But I think that at the end of the day, that when it becomes a CNC, when it comes to lasers, they're going to lean one way or the other. It's just a marketing video to teach you how to market your customer, or it's just a skill set video that's going to teach you how to use the product. And I think that if you're getting run right down the middle, anytime you get a multi of anything, it's not the greatest of either. So I think you should pick one or the other and stick to that. Maybe take 2 separate courses if you need it. And there's nothing wrong with taking courses. You can learn. But just don't get caught in someone who's just selling you a dream. That's all I'm saying. And
your CNC probably comes with all kinds of, YouTube videos or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I see a lot of people at Onefinity banners all in their videos. Did they send it in one of the boxes, Steve?
Yeah, didn't you get it's
well, I haven't opened all the boxes.
Like a bumper sticker size
okay.
thing.
I got a bunch of little tiny stickers, and I'm like, okay, I'm not sticking this
Well,
on anything, but I
no,
keep
I
seeing
got
these
a couple.
banners and all these videos, and I'm like,
I
did they
probably
send it
still
in the
have the
box?
big Onefinity sticker from the last one. If I find it and you want it, I can send it to you.
Tim said we're seeing a lot of trophy plaques for schools, etc. Would a small and engraver be better on brass plates than using the Omni?
Depends how deep you want to go. I mean, using a CNC on a brass plate is like, the old style engraving where you take it to an engraving shop and they punch the letters in. It's just basically scraping away metal to make the letter. The
I think
Omni
you're
is
better off with
actually
steel too.
different.
Better off with steel
No,
too.
not for brass. For brass, you're better with a fiber laser.
Oh yeah.
You can do it with an Omni.
But
You're not going to get a deep engrave with an Omni.
Did he say? Oh, he did say brass. Because a lot of times they look brass, but they're actually plastic.
Yeah, not
so. If it's straight up metal, yeah, you're right about the fiber laser.
Yeah, fiber's the way to go. Because then you can do it as deep as you want, and you can do a million different fonts. And
the only problem with the fiber laser is your footprint's going to be smaller for making.
Yeah, but these are like trophy plaques, right? They're the little things. You can do them with an Omni, but you're not going to get a deep engrave like you would with either a CNC or a fiber laser.
But do you need a laser engraving, or it can be an etching, right? There's a difference too, and it's a totally different look to it. So
yeah, well, the CNC would etch it,
right?
And depends what you're looking for, I guess.
Clack said I considered doing a course on how to work long hours and not make much money. I just can't seem to get folks to sign up.
That's the YouTube beginners course.
Yeah. What do we say? We keep saying,
YouTube is a classic
hours for yourself to not work 40 hours for someone else.
Yeah, YouTube is a classic example where people will go, "Oh, start a YouTube channel, you'll make $1 million a year," just like Mr. Beast, right? And it's like, no, you're not going to make $1 million a year.
Tim said, "I've taken that course, Clack."
Yeah, that's the problem with that course. Everybody knows that course.
Oh, I guess it's Clack was recently his birthday. Okay, people are saying happy belated birthday,
Clack. How many days till the big retirement? It's got to be.
I was just going to ask him, how many days you got left?
Yeah, and you got to spill your beans. You can't have it say your birthday's up, not how old are you. So they say you can't ask a woman that question, but you're a man, so we can ask you, how old are you, boy? Howdy. Good evening from Florida. Somebody want to take this?
No, anything below a certain price point should not be custom made unless you're just talking about a quick engraving that you're pre-set up for. More design time is more money only, and that's true.
Yeah, and I think that price point is probably somewhere around minimum $600. I'd say is where maximum before you start doing some actual consulting with the customer.
And this is a big point here. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. How much do I charge for extra Photoshop time? It depends on the project. But yes, I do charge extra for it, and it's at minimum of $50. A very minimum of $50 if I got to go into Photoshop.
Yeah, so I charge $35 minimum if I open Photoshop.
Yeah, so I usually charge a minimum fee, but then it's hourly, and you might have your own business and think your time doesn't cost much, but have an hourly rate for your time.
My wife actually was mad at me. She said, "Rick, people are not going to do things if you start charging Photoshop and edit. People don't charge that." I says, "Well, then they can go somewhere else. Like, I'm not free. Like, this is still occupying my time. I could be making something instead I'm editing a photo or something, And then again, if it's something that's like, I'm not saying if something's going to take too much of my time, I just outsource it. Like I said to that person V that I know, here, can you do this for me?
But this is why you need to have an hourly wage, right? Because you're going to do your 40 hours or 100 if you're Clack, and if you're not making money out of that time, like if you get to the end of the week and you say I worked 100 hours, how much money did I actually bill out? And it's not your hourly rate times however many hours, then you're not charging enough.
Right.
And people will grumble. Nobody wants to pay money for anything, right? That's just the reality of life. But you have to, right? And when you're doing things like Photoshop or any other, task in your shop where there's a skill involved, if they don't like it, they can do it themselves. And the reality is they probably don't have Photoshop, and they're not paying the $1,000 a year that Adobe wants for the Adobe suite. And they don't have the expertise, so that's what they're paying for, right? And you just have to kind of gently bring them back to the center when they get a little skewed.
Scott, what were we going to say?
I find that most people underprice their work. I was looking through my Facebook group today, and I saw one of my followers. He was selling boxes, and I clicked on his page to look at it and stuff. And they were decent looking. They were, some of them were really nice. But he was selling them for $20 to $25 a piece. I'm like, the material alone is probably $15. It took a few hours for each one of those boxes, plus who knows what. I'm like, how can they sell that for $20 to $25 a piece?
Yeah, well, so Andrew, who was on the call here tonight, we were talking about this today. He was at my place, and there's a couple of reasons, right? They're either retired people who just want something to do and they don't care about their time, or maybe they're really good and they're young, perhaps, and they don't know.
Well,
they don't know how good they are, right? So
they're older, and he and his wife, they both work on it, and I think they make a lot of it because they put out volume of boxes.
Yeah, I was saying that about Christmas ornaments. Like, these people make these Christmas ornaments on a laser that are like, wow. And they're like, $5. $5? How long did that take you? Like, I'd buy it from you. Like, I can make it myself. I'm just gonna buy it from you.
Buy it and resell it for $8.
Exactly.
For 10.
Like, what? So I get what you're saying. Like, some people definitely could charge more for their work, but I think there's sometimes too where you're actually trying to break into a market, so you're lowering your prices.
Yeah, that's
but
different.
The problem with that though is that you get known for that, right? You're the $99 guy, and all of a sudden you become the $500 guy. You outgrew your own customer base, so be cautious in that.
It's very hard because of word of mouth, right? Because customers talk to each other. It's hard to raise your prices in a dramatic way once you set a price,
even though if it's fair, right? So just keep that in mind, So,
but a lot of times I've seen it's either the two primary cases are it's somebody who's retired who doesn't care what their time costs, or it's somebody who doesn't know how good they are and what they should be charging.
I think most of the time it's the second one.
Yeah, it's often that. Right? If they don't look like they're retired, they're probably just not confident in what they do.
Right.
Even though they should be.
Yeah, I went to a couple of these trade shows walking around, and I saw those Christmas orders. I'm like, I'm not even coming here. Like, this is like, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm like, this is a craft fair. I'm at craft fairs because they just like go over the top and part of this little deep. I'm like, no way, man. These people, I look like an idiot going in here.
At craft fairs, I saw like end grain cutting boards. People are selling for $40, and here I was next to them trying to sell it for $250. Like,
right?
Yeah, without bashing the person on the table beside you, it's hard to justify, right?
So you bought all the inventory and left? $20, I'll take it off.
Say I was not successful.
Ben said, I've been receiving many emails from Chinese sellers lately. I live in the Netherlands, but laser price has been falling pretty. It stays around 20% after the tariffs.
Yeah.
So we say this all the time, that buying factory direct can definitely save you money, 100%. When you're buying these lasers, like an Eon laser, a Monport laser, any of these lasers that you're like becoming X-Tool, they're becoming like house known names. What you really is, you're paying for the price, you're paying for the support. So when you go to these factory direct, make sure you're actually buying factory direct, not someone who just lives local that's reselling it. If you have a problem, then you're screwed. as far as warranty, but then also make sure they have some. Make sure that you're able to support yourself. Basically, like if they're going to offer you zero support and say like, "Hey, it works," it's not our responsibility to teach you how to use it and provide any kind of technical support. Make sure that you may or may not need that. Like, understand why there's a big price difference. What exactly you're paying for. So to me, when you're buying those type of lasers that are stateside, that are rebranded, you're paying for that support, really.
Yeah, I think what's happening. Well, the diode laser market is super saturated right now.
Crazy.
Right? And that combined with all of a sudden they cost 50% more. I think we're going to see companies disappear. And like it was already a perfect storm with the saturated market, and now the $200 laser is now $300 and nobody wants it, right? So I think we're going to see some shakeout in the market over the next little while.
I think there's probably been a drastic decline in the number of lasers that are actually sold. And I go by I make these accessories for lasers. That's what my 3D printing is basically based on. And my sales are off a good 30%. They're just not selling as many of them now.
Yep. Now, on the positive side of all of this is it will drive the remaining laser companies to innovate more.
Competition could be good for the consumer.
Yeah, well, no, it's not. It's competition, but if you want to sell a laser, it better be better than the last generation of lasers, right? I actually have a video on my books that I was meaning to do for a long time, which is basically the working title is "Lasers are as good as they're going to get," right? Or they're good enough, something to that effect. Where over the last, I'd say 8 months, probably a year, lasers haven't gotten any better. They're kind of going in the opposite direction now because they're trying to keep the prices down, right? So used to be, here's this big 60 or 70 watt laser, and the next generation will be a 90 watt laser. And now they're going the other direction, and the laser's smaller, it's cheaper, so
there's a $99 laser out there now, but it only does like 200 millimeter square, and it's 2.5 watt.
Yeah.
Right. So the one thing that I'm seeing changes is that the multi-laser, I actually sent this to myself, I just looked it up on Facebook, is a multi-laser. Like we did the AtomStat Craft, it's the 2 different lasers built in. And this is I don't know if you guys ever heard of this brand. It's called ACE Laser, ACCE laser.
Yeah, it's Exa laser. That's the one.
An 80 watt diode and a 60 watt MOPA in one. That's insane.
Yeah.
How big's that head?
That's insane. And it looks like it
looks like a CO2 laser, actually.
Yeah.
This is the next generation, right? It's like I think
that's the next step.
I mean, I guess I'd give credit to Xtool for starting it with the F1, where they had the diode and IR in the same box, and then they went with the fiber with the Ultra. They're coming out with a new one soon, and bigger, better, faster.
So I think Skylar, was a couple weeks ago. You said the disadvantage of having a multi-tool is that they're both being used, right?
Well, but these are different, right? Like if you look at the Ultra, the F1 Ultra, it's you've got 2 lasers in there, but you can have projects that use both of them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's this Exa laser thing is the same, right? Where you can have, do some fiber layers and then some diode layers. Like it's
I think if somebody had a fiber and a UV laser in one, that would be insane.
Guaranteed it's coming. Guaranteed.
That would be insane. I want to review that. You guys coming out with that?
The biggest advantage to those lasers is that everything is built in, so you don't have to like unplug cables and take out the thing and put a new one in. I hate that. And
you also don't have to realign material, right? If you want to go to 2 different lasers, it's an alignment issue. So that's why it's happening, and it's not a terrible idea if the cost isn't crazy.
Well, that laser is $6,000, so
that laser is going to be hurting soon.
They said that they started at $9,999. It's on sale right now for $5,999. So
Well, then you should get two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Two
I
for the
think,
price of one.
but and I don't think it's anything wrong with the laser. I think this is the economy that's doing this, right?
Yeah.
It's like that $9,000 laser, 10,000, whatever it was, is actually now a $15,000 laser to their biggest market, and
Crazy.
nobody's going to pay that. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how good it is.
Yeah. Frank's little woodshop.
That's why I think there's going to be a shakeup in the market, because vendors or manufacturers aren't selling right now.
Yeah, the little guys are going to get knocked out of the ballpark. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I think you might see some of the bigger ones, some names that we've heard of, might disappear too.
Yeah. Frank's little workshop said, thanks for the tip. We've already been approaching reviewing a few lasers, but wanted to get into 3Ds. I'll give it a shot. Thanks all. Yeah. Can't hurt to try. That's all I'd say, right?
Yeah, just ask them, and they may say no, or they may say yes. And if they say no, and you still want to review their particular 3D printer, go to another 3D printer manufacturer and review one of theirs, and then go back to them and say, look, I reviewed one. Look how well it did. I can help you on your side too.
Yeah, one of the 3D printer manufacturers that is pretty good at giving out 3D printers for reviews is Kingroon. That's Kingroon, Kingroon. And I used to have a couple of their printers. I've pretty much gotten rid of most of my bed slingers, the old style. But yeah, those are good printers.
Yep.
So the only thing I would say,
they were
when
cheap.
Roger first had those, they were loud, right? I'm not saying they weren't good, but
yeah,
right.
They were loud.
So, they were loud.
That was before they made quiet stepper drivers.
Yeah.
What were we going to say, Skylar? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I always tell people that ask me, like, how do you get all these brands to send you stuff and all that? And how do you get into this whole thing? And I always say, if you want to start, just start reviewing things that you already have in the shop, things that you own. Just make a few reviews and go through them, and then they will see those videos and they will approach you. So.
The other thing that I would say, a quick tip that I would give people, is we all are Amazon customers, right? And you've ordered how many years worth of supplies? Create a hashtag. My name is Ricardo Ramirez, or I go by Rick Ramirez. If you Google my name, that's a serial killer's name. You'll never find me, or at least then you wouldn't, right? Because it'd be pages and pages of serial killer. When I created Rick's 2 cents, when I went to Amazon and I started leaving all these reviews and leaving Rick's 2 cents, guess why all of a sudden my hashtag started populating? Because Amazon's Google ad campaign is through the roof. So now if you put in hashtag Rick's 2 cents, I'm going to come up first and probably 4 or 5 pages on Google. So that's a free tip I give you guys. If you're trying to get become an influencer, if you're trying to start doing product reviews, review products you already have. Exactly what Skylar said. But someone who's paying tons of money, who's one of the top sellers worldwide, is Amazon. So go review all the stuff you've done and use your hashtag. And I guarantee your hashtag that you use outside of Amazon now, all of a sudden is going to start ranking really high on Google because of that. Use that. Trust me, it works. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't even find me before I started doing that.
Of course, now all the people searching for serial killers are upset.
Yeah. Well, Clack's got 98 days.
Point on that. Clack said he's half a century, 98 days, huh?
Half a century, man. You're still a spring chicken. 98 days is a good number, though. Yeah.
Hey, there's V. Hello.
Hey, V.
Hi, V.
V said, "Hey, peeps, I'm making my rounds. Got up lately. What is this? Liz Layer in the background. We'll repeat later. She always jumps to each one of our channels, so she shows equal support. Appreciate that, V.
Yep, we all appreciate it.
I wished a happy birthday to one of our loyal. I was waiting for her to come in so I could say something live, but I don't see her here. Nancy. She's always normally joins us live, so I wished her happy birthday on our Facebook group, and a lot of people jumped in, so that was cool. Radu said it's her birthday this Sunday, I think. He said he was 39 again.
No, this is Clack.
Yeah.
He looks 39.
Somebody want to take this?
Says, I'm an experienced Lightburn user and fairly new to XCS and my Craftfair F1, struggling a bit with the lack of tool lines and framing. That might be better aimed at Steve there, with the F1.
Well, you should be able to frame. You can turn on the blue laser to frame.
Yeah, make sure you turn the light power up, because I didn't know that for months when I had that laser. I was like, I can't see my framing. I can't see it, but I had to
Yeah, they have it set to like 1% or something, and
Yeah.
I mean the laser doesn't even worry about turning on until you get to about 8. But yeah, turn up the power. You can frame an F1.
Radu said, mine's tomorrow. Let's just say I'll be in my 50 teens.
Well, I learned something here. You know what? Once you get past 50, you don't say you're like 50 years old. Say you're at a level like you would be in a video game. So like me, I'm at level 68.
I like that. I like that. Clack said, you always tell folks they got a special discount, a family friend or a family discount. That way the price can go up. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good idea. I like that. Say, hey, so that when there's no sticker shock price on the price and your price is raised. That's a good idea. I like that, Clack.
Yeah, you start with a high price, and if people get a little uneasy, you say, well, like as Clack said, give them the family and friends discount, and they feel better, right?
John says, in a year or two, everyone will have a George Foreman laser at home. I was guilty of buying a George Foreman. I actually liked it, to be honest with you.
We have one. Well, we don't use it. I mean, it's in the pantry, but we do have a George Foreman grill.
Okay, so be honest. Who else has a George Foreman grill?
I do not.
You do not? Skylar, did you ever own one? No?
No, they're great and fast for making grilled cheese.
Yeah, I liked them for making cheeseburgers because it would drain all the grease. It was kind of like, wow.
Or if you're making paninis, they're good for that too.
I'd say I don't have one because I only eat healthy food, but alas.
Somebody want to take this?
Yeah, I'll take this one because I've got to reply to it. How many tumblers does the world need? A lot of low hangers are going to lose their shirt, partly the fault of the side hustle marketing of the laser makers. My granddaughter and I buy tumblers by the pallet. She is even more successful with them than I am because I'm more B2B. She does designs and sells them at fairs and etc. Hundreds and hundreds of them. None of them are laser engraved. Everything is dye sublimation. But you can do so much more with dye sublimation you can with a laser, and it is way faster.
Has she ordered a UV printer yet?
No, but she was asking me if I was going to get one. I said, nobody's offered. So
yeah, well, with them having pre-sold 17,000 of them on Kickstarter, I'm pretty sure you'll go to craft markets in a month or so, and you'll see those things lined up along the tables.
Oh, probably.
The only thing that I would say is that starting off sublimating those, there's a margin of error, right? Because it's a skill set you definitely learned. But these people who, like your daughter, yourself, your granddaughter, yourself, mastered that skill set, or you're not ruining a bunch of them. The cost difference is way cheaper to make that tumbler, with a sublimation print versus the UV. So to me, like, the only difference that UFI is doing is it's leapfrogging maybe your Rogers 2 years of trial and errors to be able to perfect his skill set, right? So now if you put the two tumblers next to each other, they look the same, but the cost,
they don't have to though. That's the thing. Like the dimension that the UV printer gives you is texture too.
Right. No. I'm just saying a flat print. I'm just saying a flat print, not a
but nobody's going to buy a flat print, right? Like, for one thing, you won't make it as cheap as a like a DTF or something. The thing that's going to sell it is texture.
I don't know if I'd buy a tumbler with raised.
Well, you're not talking like 5mm blobs hanging out the side, right? It's just like I did a cell phone case. I actually did a short on it where it's just like, it looks like carbon fiber, and it's just subtle, but people love those things.
So I think that you printed that, so when it's in your pocket, you see a bigger bulge.
No, that's the fish.
Steve, are you happy to see me, or is that just your phone?
Just my phone case.
Oh, there are a lot of people that do tumblers, and I see them around here when I happen to go to a craft show. I don't participate in them, but I'll go and look around, see what people are doing. And the laser engraved market, I mean, yeah, you can do some pretty cool custom stuff there, but you're not going to do it in a bunch of colors like you
Right.
could do with sublimation.
Yeah, and I think things like UV printers becoming, commodity, like they seem to be headed, is going to really crush people doing laser engraving on tumblers. Like DTF and sublimation were already.
The price just has to come down, though. The printer's too expensive.
The printer is like $2,500.
Yeah, but you're not going to do 100 tumblers with that printer. So
you're not going to do 100 tumblers with a laser either.
No, but what I'm saying is
it's not instantaneous.
The UV printers that compete with that, people who are doing mass production of those are like 30 grand, $45,000.
But the thing is, they're not. They don't have much better print quality. They're just a little faster.
That's it. I wouldn't like the jobs you guys did on the Ufi, or are you ever saying right?
Mostly Skylar. I printed a few phone cases.
There is nothing that I could say negative about it. Only thing I could say is
it looks great. It looks great.
There's not one thing I could say negative about the print quality. One thing I could say is if you were doing mass production, the printer to be able to do mass production is like buying a car.
Let's face it, if you wanted to do mass production, you wouldn't use any of these methods, right?
No, but I'm saying is
you'd send your graphics to some shop in China and say, print me a load of these.
Yeah, probably right.
Yeah,
but
where I think UV has a big advantage is at places like craft markets, right, where you can put somebody's name on one while they wait, and because it's going to print in like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, I just say like they opened a can of worms, right? And there's going to be people who are going to jump on their coattails, or at least.
And the more that will show up, the prices will go down, right? The more competition will show up.
By the end of this year, I would be absolutely shocked if there aren't a couple more entry-level UV printers out there now.
But I could also see them like creating the next step up. Like this is the entry level. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you want to get in higher production, here's something that's way more expensive, but it's on a whole different level.
Well, yeah, not necessarily way more expensive, but certainly bigger.
Right.
I can see an E1 Pro coming for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy. John said LaserPecker started with the IP4 before X-Tool.
Yep. Well, LP4.
Yeah, LP4. Alexandra, knife sharpening and laser engravings. I don't know. I don't see how they can do it for the price. That laser is $3,000. A good MOPA costs way more than that. I think they're talking about the one that I just said with the
XL laser. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 80 watt diode and 60 watt MOPA. Yeah,
that's the high end one, right? That thing is still $10,000, but they do have a cheaper entry level one with a smaller laser and a 20 watt fiber, I think.
Yeah, so yeah, for $5,999, that's the 80 watt diode and the 60 watt MOPA. So that's insane. I think that's the new thing. We're going to see a lot of multi products.
Yeah, probably. Well, I think it just bears the reality that I think diode lasers their sales are just plummeting, right? Because anybody who wanted one has one, and the next generation is pretty much the same as the generation you just bought. So it's not like you can aspire to the next one because it's going to be basically the same.
There's a lot of used ones on Marketplace right now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Lots of them.
I've been seeing a ton of 3D printers too. I actually posted one on our Facebook group. Roger comment, not good. But
it was killing your sales.
The C brand.
Yeah. He said, "No good."
I don't have
I
the
just thought
same anger towards Creality that you have, Roger.
it was like extremely cheap, and it was like local to me. So I thought if anyone's in the Chicagoland area, that may be a way to get started.
Yeah.
You know, and it's almost cool to see someone do that, because it's like, look, the description basically said, like, I bought this, I made my money, I upgraded, and I'm just getting rid of it. You know, but
Yeah,
but that proves the point that it worked.
Well, so 3D printers have already gotten to the point where every generation is not sufficiently much better than the previous generation. Bamboo came along and was a bit of an outlier and made something bit better, but they're kind of back to the normal cycle. I was talking to a company, I forget the name of them. They're just going into Kickstarter next in August, I think, with a 3D printer that'll print continuous fiber, carbon fiber. And their prints are as strong as steel, which I thought was kind of cool. So
I would like to know what they're using for a nozzle. What is it, a ruby?
I don't know.
So to me, something like that would be insane for the automotive industry. If you could print dash clusters, stuff like that, that would be insane.
I think I would have it just to print a new bird feeder so my squirrel doesn't keep breaking it.
Then say hello from West Virginia. Hello, Dennis. I got a family stationed out there. V said I should be a co-owner of Amazon by now. I think we all did.
Well, if you were, you'd be in Venice now watching Bezos
renting the whole Venice. Well, this was all over Facebook. If you can rent Venice, you can afford to pay more in taxes. Like,
yeah, you know, I have mixed feelings about that. I mean, the statement is true, right? If you can afford to rent an entire city for your wedding, sure, you can pay some taxes. But the reality is, the people who are complaining, I guarantee you, they have Amazon accounts.
Yes. My wife said, literally, we need to set order for them. I'll take Steve. You made fun of my front lawn. I actually have a path.
You made fun of my lawn, so we're equal.
You could literally see. No, what I'm saying is that the spots. I literally have like a path. If I was to zoom out, that goes from my front door. It's not even straight. It's like this. Like, why do you walk like this? Because Amazon 3 times a day stop in front of my house and walk into my front door because they don't want to walk down my driveway. It's shorter.
Yeah,
you know, but. they walk down enough, it's killed by grass. I literally have like
see, you just need a big, so my driveway is big enough that the Amazon guy can pull in, turn around, drive out, right?
Can, but you get some of these younger kids that when they come in Amazon with the big trucks, those guys whip in like nothing. But you get the Amazon with the little tiny sprinters.
Yeah,
I put a cart, one of those with 4 wheels that are metal. I put it on my carport and I put the sign in there. Just drop the packages there.
Nice.
So you don't have to walk to my door. Just leave it there by the garage.
Harold said hello from, what is this? Poughkeepsie?
Poughkeepsie,
New York. Better late than never.
Week. I think. Well, there was some. If it wasn't,
you're right. I do remember that now because I think I made the same comment. V said I'm at level 60.
What? Really?
I'm at level 46.
Is that like your kid's photo you're using then?
The AI version? Well, level 1 or 2. It's a nice custom engraved burgers. Not sure what that's about.
You can engrave a hamburger with a diode laser. You can engrave a banana too. In an orange.
Yeah, this is the laser toaster problem, right? You can put your kid's name in their toast every morning, but why? Yeah. They're just gonna eat it. Like, what's the point?
I actually saw on Amazon you can order now toasters with anything you want on the inside, including your picture.
Yep.
I was like, "Are you serious?" Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna put a picture in there, it shouldn't be yourself.
Okay, but if you were a breakfast restaurant, like one of those brunch restaurants, and the toast came out with your name on it, that'd be kind of cool. I gotta get that.
Well, maybe, but you know, if you're a restaurant, you're gonna have an industrial toaster. So.
Right. No, I just think it would be cool if I got steak and eggs and my toast said the name of. I think I
I
would
don't know.
laugh.
The toasters that can toast something into the bread, they remind me a lot of the hot dog toasters. Put the bun in one side and the wiener stick out the top on the other side. Have you seen those?
Yes.
Hot dog heaters.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
bread and
It's
the hot dog at the same time.
It's so gimmicky.
Starve Texas Design and DIY said, we'll be flying out Friday for X-Tool squad training, Steve. Is anyone willing to donate $100 so I can upgrade my seat to first class?
Well, let me see. No.
You need a United credit card because every time you fly, you just ask them for the upgrade. And if it's not being used, they upgrade you.
There you go. I don't know.
I
flew all over the world, and I quite often got upgraded.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to go to the airport.
Dennis says he has 2 George Foreman grills. Well, actually, next week I'll be flying to Denver. In fact, next weekend or next Wednesday's live stream, I'll be doing from Denver, from a hotel room. Hopefully, I'll get there in time to get on, but my
dad was part of the Denver Airport project. And every time I tell somebody that, they ask me, is it true about the aliens and the bases and the conspiracy theory? Every time.
That's not Denver. That's like
no, they do say that. It's big. It's like a big conspiracy theory. Even the Ancient Aliens actually had an episode on it. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, this was all before Area 51.
Yeah.
I will say Airport?
Yeah,
Denver Airport.
Yeah, I will say this.
The Denver Airport. I didn't see any aliens.
I will say this. Living in I live in Westminster, which was like right outside of. I went to school in Denver and I lived in Westminster, so you can say they're neighboring towns. The amount of things you saw in the sky up in those mountains was insane. But there's also a base that doesn't exist, but you know it's there because when you go up in the mountains, all of a sudden there's a cliff, there's a fence, and there's literally signs that say, if you cross this, you will be shot on sight. So I think some of those things are military testing planes. I think. Now, if they're UFOs or they're testing them, I don't know. But there's definitely a base up there that doesn't exist. But I don't need the Men in Black shut on my house, so don't kick in my front door. I'm not sharing any country secrets. But yeah, there's definitely a whole lot of people paying attention to stuff in the sky there. V said, I'm glad I'm not the oldest here. You'll never be the oldest, and you'll never be the youngest.
You're far from the oldest.
John says he can see people selling dye sub and laser tumblers. Ones are almost as cheap as he can find the blanks. Our price on tumblers, and both of us, my granddaughter and I both, we have a set price, unless it's custom. But if it's just the one-offs where we run a bunch of them, they're $20. That's what we sell them for. They cost us about $5.20.
Right, but Roger, there's a good point to be made that you selling that at $20. It's because you buy such bulk in the cups. Because if you walked into Walmart to try to buy that, like the cup could be $20.
Well,
right?
yeah, like I said, we buy them by the pallet.
Right. So that's what I tell people too when I was making shirts. Like I was big into Hanes Beefy Tees. The reason I like Hanes Beefy Tees is because they go from small to 6XL. So you get a company all of a sudden wants above a 2XL. A lot of brands don't sell over 2XLs. So, and now if you get a different brand, the colors won't match. I tell somebody, how are you complaining that I'm charging you $20 from the shirt? Go to Walmart and go buy a Hanes Beefy Tee, just a shirt. And when they see the price, they're like, okay, I'm sorry. Because exactly what I just said, I'm not buying one shirt. I'm buying it wholesale and I'm buying bulk. I'm buying hundreds of shirts at a time. So there's definitely a profit margin to be made when you're buying in bulk. And that's how you're able to be competitive by buying in bulk.
Well, it's the same thing with coasters. I buy select coasters in bulk too.
Yeah, I got 5,000.
If you're buying a pallet load of anything, you're getting the best price, right?
Yeah. I got 5,000 slate coasters. So anyone needs some, let me know. I might be willing to unload some.
I'll take one.
You'll be like Skyler, $25 in shipping for the one free coaster.
Yeah.
Someone want to take this?
He says, I use all this tech for prototyping for my companies and for our own promotional stuff. When it's idle, we make gifts for some of the better customers. I can't imagine how hard it is to make a living in this. I don't do it as a living. It's fun. That's our little side thing, pays for vacations and things like that. Here he
Yeah.
says, started down this path in the 2000s with Cricut machines. I have one. I got a Cricut maker, trying to etch glassware for my RVs and boats. Omni 1 is the laser I should have bought first. I don't have that laser though.
Yeah, the Omni 1 didn't exist when you started, I guess, but yeah, it's
here's a good statement here too that he's saying he has to sit for 10 minutes to think about which technology he wants to use to make a project with. There's so much overlap, and I've been in that situation a few times.
But that's not a bad
That's a good
thing,
problem to have,
right?
though.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if all you're doing is laser engraving, if that's your only business, it's going to be a tough business. Like,
but I think it's cool when you can multi-tool. Like
yes,
if you were,
you need multiple tools,
right? And then I also think it's like laser is not woodworking, you know, or you're a woodworker. Even if you are a true woodworker, like I try Skylar's a true woodworker because she makes those boxes, right? I made fun of Daniel because I'm like, to me that's more run of the mill. Daniel's box is beautiful.
I got criticized for using a brass spool for a box drawer. It's like I would have loved to see a like handmade wooden one. I'm like, come on, it's a tiny pool.
Right. But when you start overlapping things and doing multi-tools, and to me that's cool, you know. But it's also, the point is, like you're saying, like I'm selling this box for $150, but if you added up the price of every piece of equipment I use, there's thousands of dollars worth of equipment that took to create this box, you know. So that's something to be said about that too. You didn't just overnight own that equipment. You accumulated that over
I would
time.
say many thousands of dollars.
Right, yeah. Right, yeah, you know, exactly. Tim said our first laser was the Iker K1 Pro. I love that laser.
Yeah, it was
70 watt and 36 watt. Hated it, but sure does those wooden signs nice. Just keeps the wood out of the P2. I actually just sold my Iker K1 Pro to one of our subscribers. So yeah, if he's in the live, care to share. But yeah, so I replaced my Iker K1 Pro with the Adam Stats Craft because it's enclosed, and I liked it to do my 3D engravings. John said, hello, everyone, from, what is this,
Guthrie, Oklahoma.
John said, I've been making animals, dinosaurs out of Amazon cardboard boxes and give it to kids.
Oh, kids love that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the one thing that I think is awesome about cardboard boxes is when I was shipping these crosses that were thin, I was thinking, how do I keep the shipping costs down? And how am I protecting this from getting crushed? And then I thought, what the heck? I have the exact outline. So I cut it in cardboard. I push it in the middle, and I put 2 pieces of cardboard on each side, and I put it in an envelope. Man, no damage.
I've done that. Polyurethane foam, polyethylene foam, the white squishy stuff. I use that as well to ship things. Like you literally cut the foam and cut the shape of the thing you're shipping, stuff it in there, and put it in a box, right? And it's all a perfect fit. It looks very professional, and there's no way it's getting damaged.
Yeah, no, and definitely there's definitely a professional look to it for sure.
Yeah,
it looks cool.
And it's a good way to get rid of all this stupid foam that you get in every box. Right? Like,
he said, I look young for my age.
I don't.
Me too. I'm actually 100.
I do probably need an update that he's talking about the photo. You know,
I was gonna say she's got to be like in her 30s.
So I most of the meetings for the company I work for are all through Teams, right? And a lot of people have this profile picture. And what's funny is that since I work for a company that's like nationwide, you don't see each other often, right? You just see this picture they upload. And what's funny is these pictures are like 25 years old, some of these photos. And I've met people in person that didn't even know that was the same person, right?
Yeah.
Till they tell your name, you're like, oh, you need
Well,
to
anybody that has a photo, any company that has a photo badge, right? They take it
Yeah.
the day you start, and you were probably like some snot-nosed kid just out of college. And you know, you've been there for 30 years, and people look at your badge and they look at you, and it's like, yeah, this is not the same person.
F Dort said, cut the bread with cookie cutters, then toast.
Yeah, if you wanted to cut a particular shape of toast, yeah.
Yeah. Greg said, hi, good night. Good show tonight. I need to sign out. Thanks for joining, Greg.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining. John said, my saving grace is that I know Creative Suite really well and Fusion 360.
That's a good thing to know.
Yeah, if you know those two, you can design pretty much anything for a laser.
Look who just joined in. Hey, Nancy, I was just actually talking about you that I wished you a happy birthday on our Facebook group. So if anyone didn't get a chance to tell Nancy happy belated birthday, I'd encourage you to do so.
Too bad we didn't have a
Happy
mic for
birthday.
everybody on, and we could say happy birthday. We could. I won't sing, but happy birthday, Nancy.
John said, you want to try something hard? I've been trying embroidery. Holy moly.
Yeah, just threading like 300 bobbins to do some of those embroideries is crazy.
I've done embroidery.
Yeah, me too.
Like by hand or with a machine?
With a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done embroidery with a machine too, but I've actually cheated and outsourced the artwork to convert the files. But yeah.
Yeah, I got
Nancy,
no desire to do that.
Nancy said, thank you. I played with my laser all day. Yeah, got to do whatever. Yeah, so today I was actually going to cut down 3 trees on my property, but yesterday I kicked my butt so bad working in the heat. My son was like, can we just go swimming? I was like, yep. That's exactly what we're going to do today. That's exactly what we're going to do today. We played in the pool all day long today. We didn't get out of bed till like 10 o'clock, and we were in the pool up until we had to go get my daughter from her school. But that's exactly what we're going to do today. We ate leftovers and played in the pool. But yeah, sometimes you need that. You know, they say work hard, play hard, but sometimes you need a little R&R too. So very cool, very cool.
I'm still waiting for some R&R. July is going to be a nightmare for me. It's just so much crap to get done.
No, I'm definitely excited about the CNC. I appreciate everyone pushing me. So I'll definitely hold my feet to the fire. Sunday, you will see a video of the CNC put together. And I'm excited. And, you know, I'm giving people advice all the time. I'm definitely going to like asking advice. So don't think you'll insult me if you're like, Rick, do this instead. I'm all ears. And Sky will be right behind me. So
yeah, I'm waiting for you to see how you do.
I'll do all right. With our core support, there's nothing that we can't do.
As I was doing these player boxes today, I was sanding them, and I looked at them and went, this is like a sculpture. Like this thing was a board, and now it's this thing with all kinds of shapes. And I was thinking of you guys, and especially Skylar, because I know she would carve this by hand with a cutting some kind of a
I'm actually planning on carving by hand a bowl this week.
Yeah, my brother does wooden spoons, and it's like, why? You can just lay a board down on a CNC and punch a button and come back 20 minutes later and turn it over and do the other side. But he's old school. He does some volunteering at it's like a farm, but it's like a pioneer farm, so no fertilizers, none of the things that normal people would use. And he makes wooden spoons for them. So they have to look like they were made 150 years ago.
They said, Rick, do this instead. I'm all ears. Let me know. I'm open to tips. You know, also, too, is that I was asking everyone, and if you wouldn't mind, you maybe even sharing that on our Facebook group. If you have any resources, where are good STLs? What is it, STS, STL? What am I saying wrong?
STLs, or if you want to do 3D.
Yeah,
Now,
so
I would
for
caution you
CNC
to.
files. Go ahead.
I would caution you not to do 3D stuff first.
Well,
Like-
I'd say this: if you have any advice on some good files, and we say this all the time, don't always just purchase. Know how to make the file, adjust the file, create the file, customize the file, fine. But just using the overall machine, getting used to the menus, and there's nothing wrong with just using the file, like one step at a time. That's where I'm going to be.
Yeah,
Probably
so
it's
you have an Elite. The software on screen is pretty easy to use. There's a few things that'll get you, and you can just shoot me a message. But it's pretty easy to get going with it. Sorry, Skylar.
I was just thinking maybe one of the easier projects is to do some of those catch-all trays, like the valet trays.
Yeah, or start with something really basic like a sign. Rick
Charcuterie board.
Ramirez, maker and serial killer.
It's pretty massive.
Yep. Mine still has the film on it on the screen.
Yeah,
I never took it off.
it's pretty massive. Yeah. So yes, all those boxes behind me are the CNC. I'm not being a hoarder.
I told you there was a lot of boxes.
There's still 2 boxes upstairs. My wife's like, "When are you gonna get this out of the front room?"
Get this out of my kitchen.
It's in the. I have like a mud room when you walk in the house.
Yeah.
She's like, "Get these 2 boxes out of here." One's the rotary tool. I think the other one's a stiffy.
Yeah, Stiffy will be a pretty big box.
Yeah. Dennis said I have an X-Carve that I upgraded by adding linear rails, bearings, and ball screws to the Z-axis. I added a linear rail and bearings to drop the Y-axis. Modifying.
Yeah, that's the sign of an engineer.
Yeah.
There you go. Then here we go. Then I upgraded the belts to 15 millimeter wires and steel reinforced. That's rigid. It's fast and nothing like the original X-Carve. Yes.
Yeah, X-Carve is gone now, right? They're going out of business.
Really?
How late do we go? We go to 8:30.
8:30. And John, we chose 8:30 because for the most part we're like all time zones because we're in different areas. So we thought it was smack dead in the middle. It's earlier for some, and I can't say that for our UK and some of those people, but I would say United States, Mexico, and Canada, we were trying to be in the middle. So I know some of you.
I actually hang out in the Atlantic, so I'm not Eastern time. I'm Atlantic time, so I'm 2 hours.
By 8:30, I mean that's Central Time here in the United States.
Yeah.
8:30 Central Time. So
Like
that's how we chose it.
10:30 for me, so 20 after
yeah.
10.
So it's right. So exactly. So Steve, it's a little bit later. It's 8:17 Central Time, but that's why we chose it. And we actually started on Mondays, and then we pushed to Fridays, and we ended up switching to Wednesday because we said Happy Hump Day, and that was one of our like entry thing we first started because we said some people come to this live for advice, some people come to this live just camaraderie to hang out, shoot the shit, so to speak, and kind of like, huh. And I'd say that's for me. Sometimes I just get burnt off
all
from
downhill
work.
from here.
Sometimes I just get burnt off from work. I'm stressed, and to me, this is like a big relief. I look forward to these days, so I hope you guys do too.
Yeah, I get stressed when I don't get to go for a walk on Wednesdays. Like today, it was too hot.
Yeah, it's hot. It was a hot day. Nancy, I come for it all. Thanks, Nancy. Appreciate it.
Mostly Roger's shirt, though, I bet.
All right, Roger. You got a new shirt on today. I don't think I've seen that one before.
No, this is another new one. I've still got probably a dozen of them up there that nobody's ever seen.
What is the design? Is it like fish or something?
Yeah, it's kind of a coral reef theme. Got
Okay.
different fish and corals, and
it's not big enough from my perspective. It looks like somebody just splattered a bunch of paint on some cloth.
So, Steve, what's on your Vizio?
On my what? Back
Vizio. Your Vizio. Your Visio flow chart.
Oh. This
What
is
does it
the
say?
problem, coffee, engineer, solution, side effect, sarcasm.
There you go. Very cool. Very cool.
I have an ample supply of sarcasm. So.
Yeah. So
these are all like old work shirts when I actually had a job.
Nice one. Yeah. So those are new to I see a lot of new faces. Just keep in mind that these videos are not scripted. These are live question and answers. Don't ever feel like you're going to throw us off topic if we go down a rabbit hole about any particular item. We're literally live in questions, and that's the whole point. So if you have any questions, let us know, whether it be related to 3D printing, CNCs, lasers, influencer marketing, anything, that we're doing, ask. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Even YouTube. We've talked quite a bit about YouTube as well.
We talked about YouTube, Etsy, Google's. We went down the domains, emails. I mean, anything business related, let us know if you have questions, for sure.
I can bring something up about Amazon, since I'm an Amazon seller for now, which is going to end at the end of July. They sent me of course, Amazon's a pain in the ass to do business with anyway, to sell on there because of the returns and just all that stuff. And I've shown a few returns, empty boxes, and once somebody sent me an old shoe on a return, but now they want me to provide them with a certificate of liability insurance. And I'm looking at it, says, your requirement here is to have to do that is to sell $10,000 a month on Amazon. And we don't come even close to that on Amazon. That's a yes, but not on Amazon. So I'm like, why do I need to do this? Well, it could be at our request too. So we have insurance, we have company insurance for our business here. Well, it has to be by one of our approved providers. And go here on this page and click, and it'll give you the requirements we need and the list of providers that we approve of. So I go on click on the list of providers we approve of. There's one.
and it's probably Amazon.
So it's like renting a U-Haul truck, and they're like, "Do you want the insurance?"
So I emailed back. I says, "Well, then we'll come July 31st when you want to have this. You're not going to have it, so cut me off. I'll just close my account, and that'll be fine."
If you don't mind me asking, Roger, how much was the insurance?
$5,000
per year. Per what?
Per year.
That seems a little extreme.
Yeah, it is extreme. That's 3 times what we pay for product liability insurance with our business as it is. But I can't use that policy.
Yeah, it would only be for Amazon. That's a little insane.
Yeah. So I'm going to be, I'll just end it. Like I said, I've been getting fed up with Amazon and the returns anyway, but.
Yeah, so, Amazon recently has been like emailing me like twice a day to set up a business account. And I assume that's probably because people, what you just said, Roger, are probably dropping off.
Yeah, we are, because and there's a lot of videos on YouTube right now about what they call FBM, fulfilled by merchant sellers, where you get these returns and you have no say in it. You're paying the return shipping, and most of the time you don't even get the actual item back. Empty box, empty envelope. We had one that was a 10-pound return, and all I got was an envelope with a slip in it. And I had to pay 10-pound UPS on it. I'm just fed up with it.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So my question is to people who are selling Amazon, are you thinking of making a change? And if you are, is there an alternative that you're thinking of using? Let us know.
Are there any alternatives?
Put it in the comments below.
Well, we're just going to move our inventory from that. We keep different inventories for different sales channels. I'll just move them into our website or onto Etsy.
Yeah, if you've already got a presence there, why not?
Yeah.
That's crazy. But you know what the thing is that I think, Skylar, you're the one who said is that with Etsy is that, like, if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, right? If your business was based around that and people's store get closed down for no reason at all, that could literally possibly, yes. So if that was you know, everyone's goal is like, oh, I'm doing this side hustle, become my full-time gig. And if it becomes your full-time gig and one day they close you
That's
down.
why I think I will never not have a website. It's like you got to have your home base.
Yeah. So, you know, that's something.
I would say 80% of our sales come from the websites. And, you know, about probably 19% from Etsy, and then the other 1% on Amazon. That's why I say losing Amazon is not going to be a big deal.
I started my website last year in February, and my Etsy shop last year in August, and my website has over 750 sales, where my Etsy has 250, I think. So website does a lot better.
So my whole thing is, most people understand that are very successful on Etsy. Their whole idea is to convert Etsy subscribers, Etsy customers, to direct sales on their website or out of.
We do that.
Yeah.
Every package we send out, it comes with everything in it about our website.
Right. So they think of Etsy as kind of like a Google AdSense account, right? Yeah. Like you're kind of paying for advertisement because Etsy has such a large, you know, gathering of customers, and you hope you convert those to direct customers at some point.
I put my thank you notes with my website. You got one too when you got the crosses.
Yeah, the presentation was amazing. Yeah.
Once the people find you, whether it's Etsy or anything, then they don't need Etsy anymore, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I think this is one of the reasons Etsy's struggling, because their fees are so high that they're forcing this behavior from people.
Yeah. I kind of felt bad because I opened Skylar's package and I felt like I was getting a Christmas gift. Like it was done well, and I got like this, you know, flyer thing, and I'm thinking like, damn, I just do like brown paper and like there's like mine is like industrial, like you got what you ordered, right? Yeah, all right, cool, we're good then. That's it. There was no frizzles, no fancies. And I'm thinking maybe I need to step up my game a little bit because the presentation was definitely, you felt it as you opened it. Yeah. So yeah. Something to be said in that though. And at the same point, that like little things like that is what people leave your review on Etsy. Because some people, like, they don't leave you a review. It's not that there was anything wrong. They just don't think it's a big deal. You know, they're thinking that the reviews actually do help you.
Well, one of the first things I've noticed, and I've noticed this for over 20 years, when people leave reviews, you'll have more people leave reviews if they're not happy than you will with people that are real happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're not going to complain, right? If they're happy.
Yeah, very crazy.
Of course, and then we get the complaints that, you know, even with Etsy, you know, let's say I send something to the Postal Service and it gets there smashed. Whose fault is it? It's mine. I'm the one that gets blamed for it, and that's what the review will say. Well, it came, it was crushed. You know, the box is all smashed. We had one actually had tire cracks on it, and I'm like, you know, yeah, I'll replace it for you, but geez, you know, it's not my fault that the Postal Service smashed it.
You know, what sucks too is that like sometimes with shipping, you offer insurance as an option, and they choose not to, but then still falls on the seller because you don't want the negative feedback to say, hey, I gave you the option of insurance. I know, like that was a big thing on eBay.
I insure everything that is over $200.
Yeah. Like eBay, that was a big thing for especially smaller items. There's an option for, and I'm with you on that, Scarlett, too. Same thing. And I only did that because I don't want them to say there was nothing in the box. You know, then I'll claim the theft. But I used to sell a lot on eBay, and I would sell stickers. And I'm not going to insure a sticker. And some people say, oh, it's damaged. And I'm like, send me a picture. And they're just lying, you know, and I'll just mail them another one just because I don't want the negative feedback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but most of those shipping insurance policies only cover things like loss. They don't cover damage, right?
Right.
They cover damage. You know,
some of them do, but a lot of them, like I don't know what your postal service is like, but here if I get insurance on something I send in the post, then it's only insured for loss.
But that's my bigger issue here, because it's like I pack it well. I know it's not going to break most of the time. I had like, you know, a template or something break. But the thing is, like around holiday season, when everything gets crazy, packages disappear and they're lost for 2-3 weeks. People are like, where's my package? I'm like, it's insured. Don't worry. They will arrive. If not, you know, you will get your money back or replaced. But it's just for some reason at that time, everything seems to be like lost, delayed.
Yeah.
Like just from
Or
Maine
it's
to New
crazy,
York, it takes
right?
3 weeks.
Yeah, you mail something in New York and ends up like in Colorado, and you're like, why?
got it.
And then it goes back to New York.
Well,
you're
you
like,
got
what the hell is that about?
You got a whole bunch of people working in the postal system who are getting ready for Christmas too, right? So
Yeah.
they don't give a crap.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Now, getting back to Amazon, we actually have one little event actually that happened this week. A customer, it was with some plants, and they said that these plants are dead. Okay, well, I'll send you a replacement. So we sent the replacement. They got the replacement. Then they filed a return on the first one. So now they got a full set of plants actually for free, and I have to pay for the return and shipping.
Man,
That's a scam you can pull. I mean, they do it all the time.
that sucks. Well, it looks like, guys, we're just hit time. It's 8:30. I just wanted to take the time to say thank you, everyone who joined our live. It's definitely good seeing the return faces and some new names. Appreciate everyone joining us. You guys want to say anything and close out?
No, get out there and make something.
Yeah,
We'll see
get
you
out
next
there.
week.
I'll be seeing you all next week from Denver, Colorado.
Oh, nice.
I just want to say one thing before we close out. I know everyone has sometimes afterthoughts like, oh, I should ask this, or I should ask that. That's the point of the Facebook group. You, of course, can always comment on these lives. A lot of people are watching these replays. If you write a comment on these lives, we still reply. So don't think that just because you're watching a replay that if you write some in the comments that one of us won't reply to you. Because I appreciate it watching the replays who don't get to watch it from the beginning or start it from the beginning just to watch it over. You guys want to say anything on the closeout? Sorry.
We did that.
Yeah, did that.
I was doing it one more time. Circle time before we leave.
On
So.
vacation. It sounds like you're already there.
No, see you all next week.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Take care all.
Bye.
Bye.